My fellow Americans, on this election year 2012, your right to choose reigns supreme. Because of this, I will let you choose by popular acclaim which of these two pieces is going to be read today. We have two options. I'm going to tell you very broadly the themes first, and then we'll take a little vote on the cheer-o-meter and see what we're going to be hearing today. So the first story's themes are bad-mothering, wrestlers, and death on the border. The second story's themes are teen lust and the hairdo of the apocalypse. Oh, those are your options. So we have bad mothers, beer and wrestlers and death on the border, or teen lust and the hairdo of the apocalypse. So let's do our little cheer here. Those of you who want to hear about bad mothering, wrestlers, and death on the border, cheer. Okay, great. Those of you who want to hear about teen lust and the hairdo of the apocalypse, cheer. Teen lust and the hairdo of the apocalypse, that is. I got to work with the marvelous Misako Inaoka on my project for Broadside Attractions, and one of the prompts she gave me was Kurosawa's film To Live, which is a wonderful story about a kind of a middling bureaucrat who decides he wants to do something significant before he dies. And so it got me thinking about a lot about what it means to really kind of take control of your life and try to live. And so this story was kind of inspired by that part of the exercise. The problem of style. In the summer after 6th grade, as he crossed the creaking vine and slack suspension bridge towards the overgrown wilds of middle school, Raimundo decided he was going to become art. Maybe not art exactly, but more artistic. He grew his hair out. Longer and longer it grew. It was the 70s, but in California farms like Fairview, full of terracotta farm workers from Mexico and pink ranchers from Oklahoma, it was simultaneously the 50s. In that time-trapped town, in the middle school, in the teacher's room, you could see that time had looped back on itself. The 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s became entangled like the mismatched detritus that washes up on beaches after particularly epic storms. The veteran teachers, like Mr. Farney, watched with suspicion the newly minted teachers. He noted it all, their loud frocks and murderer-type sideburns, their big firework proclamations about empowerment and respect for the students. He knew they laughed at him, sweating in his polyester coat and tie, saluting the flag like he meant it, knowing that the worst thing he could be to a student was a friend. How had it all gone down the toilet, he wondered. Oh, he longed for those ramrod ladies he went to Eastern Oklahoma Teachers College with. He envisioned them swooping down upon this school, a swarm of Baptist Valkyries, fully armored, riding side saddle, kicking down the doors and snapping these pinko teachers over their knees. On the first day of school, as the boys sat on chairs in the gymnasium for orientation, he spotted the androgynous blemish that was Raimundo, sandwiched in between two freshly crew-cut boys. He caught the boy's eyes and called him over with his crooked finger. The boy pointed towards his sternum and asked, "Me?" Mr. Farley nodded, "Yes." "Son, what is your name?" Raimundo Sanchez." "Well, Mr. Sanchez, I'm Mr. Farney, and I want to know exactly what you are planning with that hair." "I don't have a plan, I think." "Are you trying to be a hippie, Mr. Sanchez?" "I just like it that way, sir. It's not against the rules, right?" "No, unfortunately, it is not. You seem to be a bright kid, polite. I just don't want you to ruin all of that with this hair of yours. I won't, sir. It's not anything bad. It's just my style. That's just the point, son. If you talk to your daddy, ask him what people think about men who think about their style. You might be surprised. Okay, I will. His schoolmates, those boys who'd known from the beginning, saw his style and suddenly knew him differently. Raimundo had left the 6th grade, a quiet boy who played tetherball at lunch, sometimes by himself, often with a girlfriend. He was never harassed. He never seemed even to be seen. During that summer, he began to grow his hair. He would brush it out and savor its growing weight in the shower. Nights he curled the waves of it around his fingers, spiraling into sleep where he imagined himself gestating in a silken cocoon of black hair. By the first day of junior high, it was down past his shoulders. His transformation was complete, and everyone saw it. His transformation was complete, and everyone saw it. Fag. This was his name, Fag. His horsehair shirt, Fag. His vocation. Fag was the first word that would change his life. They had named him as Adam named the animals in the garden. They had named him, and he became it. His faggotry seemed now to ooze from his pores. It trailed after him, a shameful, florid perfume. Down the school halls, it possessed his hips as he walked. In class, he would stare at the back of a boy's neck, and it hijacked his privates with sudden violence. On the courts, the boys, and only the boys, seemed to see his faggotry hovering above him. Hey, fag! How's fag life today? He walked past in silence, grateful for his mirrored shades. I said, hey, faggot! Can't you hear me, puto? He held his breath, controlled his hips, walked faster. What's the matter? You late for a date with your boyfriend? Does he slap you when you're late, reggae? Life got dangerous. Once and then twice he came home with bruises and rips in his clothes. Both times he was paralyzed. He had never fought before, didn't know how, didn't see why. He tried, but they laughed. His fists felt as alien as wings, hitting as strange as flying. His mother dialed to call the school, but he protested, no, Ma, I started the fight, so get busted. Alright, but no more fights, period. Within the yellow confines of the school bus, all the hate and menace was distilled. All day, all the time he feared. He spent lunch times in the library, played sick to escape PE, avoided entering the bathrooms until absolutely necessary. Crossing from class to class became a military exercise. He checked the path left and right. If he saw trouble, he backed into the room and waited for the danger to pass. He sprinted to his locker and tried to get the combination in one go before racing to his next subject. As he scurried about, he imagined taking his mother's pistol to school and spraying their evil thoughts across the green of their lockers, liquefying their tongues in the horrible words they sounded out, blinding their X-ray eyes with clouds of clotted blood. In Raimundo's eyes, there was only one, Hector Valenzuela. He watched Hector contemptuously thread his way through players on the basketball court, laying up the ball so prettily that his opponents just cocked their heads in admiration. And when the shot dropped in, he smiled, and the mole on his cheek would rise, and his teeth would flash, and he'd push the wet of his hair off his forehead. Carefully, so carefully, he spied Hector, but Hector was being watched as well. But Raimundo was being watched as well. Near the portable classroom behind the gym, Hector and Joey Sandoval grabbed him. Don't! Leave me alone! They pulled him into the space between the gym and the fence. Raimundo twisted and struggled, but Joey grabbed him by the elbows and bent him back. Hector hovered over his face almost touching Raimundo's. Yo, Hector, don't hit him in the face, no evidence, Coach Joey. How come you been looking at me, Raimundo? He had never seen Hector this close. I'm not looking at you. Hector was terrible and beautiful, an avenging angel. Don't lie, faggot. I seen you looking. Don't be looking at me. You think I'm a faggot like you? It's not true, I'm not that. You think I'm stupid? You fucking fucking queer. Say it. It's not true. And the first blow connected with Raimundo's belly and the other with his face. Say it, puto. Hector's knee snapped upward, touching Raimundo squarely in the crotch. Raimundo sucked air, fought the tears. Say it, bitch. Yes, it's true. That's what I am. What are you? Say it. Fag. I'm a fag. What of it? The blow to Raimundo's temple released an eruption of stars in the back of his eyes. He staggered to the dirt. He'd always thought that only cartoon characters saw stars. And from nowhere, he began laughing. What are you laughing at, bitch? The laughter swept his body. This fucking faggot's crazy. That's right, he said. He can't. Hector kicked him in the chest. His head hit the dirt hard. If you ever look at me again, I'll kill you, bitch. As they left, he was still laughing. His eyes teared up. On his chest, above his heart, was Hector's footprint. He dusted it off. It throbbed there. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered. Raimundo jumped the cyclone fence. He headed across the lettuce field that bordered the school. At the railroad tracks, he began walking homeward. The sounds of the playground grew fainter. He pulled errant strands of hair from the clotted blood on his cheek. When his lips grew loose, when his hips grew loose, he let them. When the breeze caught his hair, he savored it. When the song came, he sang it. I will be king, and you will be queen. For nothing will drive them away. We could beat them just for one day. Thank you.